Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing well so far today. Welcome to episode 1 of our 6-episode Breathwork Masterclass. In this journey, we're going to explore how the breath is more than just oxygen. It is life itself. We're going to begin with the yogic concept of prana, which is the vital life force, and how it compares to oxygen from a scientific perspective. We'll also look at different types of breathing practices, including pranayama, including the Buteyko style of breathing, including the Wim Hof style of breathing. We'll just contrast and compare all of these and see what works best for you. So starting with prana. Prana is subtle energy. It is the animating force behind every movement, every thought, every sensation. In Ayurveda and yoga, prana flows through a network of energy channels called nadis. Meanwhile, in modern biology, we know that oxygen is essential for cellular respiration. It powers ATP, the body's energy currency. Breath is the bridge. As we inhale, we nourish the body with oxygen, and we energize our life with prana. Prana isn't a single force. It's a symphony of 5 directional energies called the vayus. We have pranavayu, apanavayu, samanavayu, uddanavayu, and vyanavayu. Pranavayu moves inwards. It controls inhalation and sensory intake. Apanavayu flows downwards. It governs elimination and grounding. Samanavayu is the balancing energy between prana and apana, between uddana and apana. It is across the center, across the solar plexus, and it governs digestion and balance. Uddanavayu rises upwards, governs speech and expression. Vyanavayu, it radiates outwards and it circulates energy throughout the body. Each vayu can be balanced through specific breathing techniques and postures, and we're going to take a look at those. So pranavayu, that is the inward moving breath. Its location is in the chest, in the lungs and the heart, and it kind of moves inwards and upwards. Its function is in regards to inhalation, vitality, perception, sensory intake, and enthusiasm for life. What can we balance these with? Some of the asanas that we can use to balance the pranavayu is bhujangasana, which is cobra pose, ustrasana, which is camel pose. You'll notice we're opening the front of the body with all of these. Matsyasana, fish pose, and anahata asana, so melting heart pose. We will explore these further, but you can obviously look these up to see what these poses are if you are not a regular yoga practitioner. We have in the pranayama, we have dirgha swasana. In pranayama, we have the 3-part breath, which expands the chest. We have Ujjayi pranayama, which enhances inner expression. We have Ujjayi pranayama, which enhances inner awareness and oxygenation. It's also excellent at activating our it's also excellent at activating the vagus nerve. And then we have Surya Bhedana, which energizes and awakens the upward movement of the body. And these are not only physiological events that occur, but spiritual events that occur and biological events. So we want to look at all of the aspects of breathing. In Apana Vayu, so we're going to go through all of these, just kind of an outline, and then I will expand on all of these. And of course, we have the additional papers that you can download, the PDFs, to understand further and look deeper into the sources and into where you can explore and read more about all of these. So we have Apana Vayu, which is the downward moving breath. This exists in the pelvis and the lower abdomen. Its direction is downwards and outwards. So we're talking about elimination, grounding, menstruation, childbirth, and letting go. Very important, letting go. We hold on to too much, and this can affect us in so many ways biologically, and none of it's good. So letting go. Let's look at the asanas that we can use to help this along. Malasana, which is garland pose. Paschimottanasana, which is seated forward bend. So you can see that we are focusing on the pelvic area and the lower abdomen. Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. And Supta Padunga. And Supta Padungasthana, which is reclined big toe pose. So again, focusing on the pelvic area and the lower abdominals. So which breathing techniques can help us here? Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril. This balances two of the breathing channels the main breathing channels, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. So we have also the 1-2 breath ratio, and we'll be talking about breath ratios and what all of these breathing techniques are later on. And again, please do refer to the downloadable PDFs for directions on how to accomplish all of these breathing techniques. In the 1-2 breath ratio, we're looking at a long exhale, which supports the downward flow, the letting go of our physiological being. And then we have Brahmari, which is humming bee breath. And this calms the lower abdominals and the nervous system. So you're calming down the parasympathetic nervous system, releasing the fight or flight reaction that we may get. We have Samana Vayu, which is that equalizing breath. And as I mentioned before, the location is in the navel center, in the solar plexus area, where we have our digestive fire. And this is where everything kind of converges inwards and balances out at the center of the body. We're talking about digestion, assimilation, metabolic balance, and integration. So which poses can help here? Again, we're talking about the center of the body. So Navasana, boat pose, strengthening the abdominals. We have Ardha Matsyendrasana, which is half lord of the fishes. Paravrita Trikonasana, which is revolved triangle, again, the abdominals in the center of the body. And Utkatasana, with core engagement. Very important. All right, which breathing techniques are going to help us here? with Samanavayu. We have Kapalbhati, and Kapalbhati is excellent at stoking the digestive fire. Very good for metabolism. We have Agnisara, again, abdominal activation. And then Samavriti, equal breath. It balances the inner and the outer forces. And you could do something like box breathing, which replicates equal breath. All right. We are going to look at Udana Vayu, which is the upward moving breath, and that energy resides in the throat, the head, and the face. And the direction is upwards. Functions. We're going to talk about speech, expression, growth, most important, spiritual ascent, and memory. Memory. Breath affects memory. Which asanas are going to help us here? Sarvangasana, which is shoulder stand. So an inversion, you don't have to be able to go upside down and rest on your shoulders if that is not within your physical realm right now. You can literally do any inversion, legs up the wall, a down dog, just hanging your head off of the side of a bed safely. You can do any of that to help with inversions. Increases blood flow to the brain, and who doesn't want that? Halasana, plow pose, against an inversion, but you do not have to be able to achieve the full pose without support. You can moderate and in many different ways, and we'll talk about that. Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is upward bow pose, and Simhasana, lion's pose for throat activation. And we don't normally think of throat activation as something we need for our breath, but if your muscles are strong, your respiration is also strong. And believe it or not, everything is use or lose. Okay, what are the breathing techniques that we can help here? Bhastrika, which is bellows breath, and this energizes and lifts upwards. So we have Ujjayi breath with Jalandhara Bandh. So that enhances throat control and awareness. Again, all of these should be done with somebody who is well versed and practiced in these breathing techniques. So look out for a yoga teacher in a well-respected studio. And then we have Brahmari again, which creates resonance in the skull and the crown. All right, Vyanavayu, the expanding breath outwards. This is the whole body, especially the periphery of our body. Outwards, this breath moves outwards and also addresses our circulatory system. So it addresses circulation, movement, coordination, integration of all of the other vayus. How do we balance Vyana Vayu? We balance it with Trikonasana, triangle pose. Remember, these are all outward expanding kind of asanas. Virbhadrasana, which is warrior 2. Dancer's pose, Natarajasana. And a full body vinyasa sequence, such as a sun salutation, can be extremely helpful here. It addresses circulation. So that movement of up and down and stretching, expanding, contracting is very key in helping with circulation. So what are the breath techniques that would help here? We have the full yogic breath. Okay, it expands the entire lung field. We have Vilom, which is the interrupted breath. It creates awareness of the breath across the entire body. And then we have dynamic breath plus movement. So doing gentle breath of fires within a flow. These are extremely helpful. Again, you want to find a yoga instructor in a well-respected studio to address these breathing techniques. We will be talking about these further and expanding on these, but what I can show you in a video will not address your own body. So I highly recommend finding a well-respected local yoga instructor to really learn these breathing techniques well. All right. So if you have, if you can find that well-respected yoga instructor, you want to start looking into energy locks, which help with all of these vayus. And I will not recommend that you just do them via video. I highly recommend you find a yoga instructor near you, but the energy locks are very helpful for all of these. We have the throat lock, Jalandhara Bandh, Mool Bandh, Uddiyana Bandh, and then we have the Maha Bandh, and we have a combo of a lot of these different things. So these locks, the throat lock, root lock, abdominal lock, and then all three together, these are all really, really helpful. Please learn these with an instructor though. All right, we have, I mentioned the nadis. That's where our energy flows, the Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna. Nadis are the energetic pathways for prana. And there's thousands of pathways. These three are the most relevant for our discussion. We have Ida, the left channel, and this is the lunar, cooling, calming breathing. We have the Pingala, the right channel, which is the solar, warming, and energizing breath. And then we have the Sushumna, the central channel. And this is the spiritual awakening. This is the flow of our Kundalini energy. And raising our energy, our spiritual energy from the base of the spine all the way up through our crown. That is the ultimate aim of yoga, union. So the Kundalini energy starts at the base of the spine and flows upwards out through the crown. All of these channels, the Ida, Pingala, and the Sushumna, when they are open and balanced, they are able to create a deeply meditative state. And this state is where we find union with the universal whole. So feeling that oneness with everything around you is the point of balanced breathing. So your Ayurvedic constitution, your dosha, and the breath will shape how you breathe, and it will also shape how you should breathe. So if you're a Vata type, for example, you may have an erratic, shallow breath. If you're a Pitta type, you may breathe very intensely and sharply. If you're a Kapha type, you may have a slow, sluggish breath. And we can use pranayama techniques to balance the doshas and to find the breathing technique which is most appropriate for you. So, for example, you would need a cooling breath if you're a Pitta type. You would need an energizing breath if you're a Kapha type. And you would need a grounding breath if you are a Vata type. And for most of us today, in today's world, I would recommend, no matter what else you do, no matter what personality type you are, that we also find that time for grounding breath, because our minds, with so much social media, with so much constant onslaught of information and stimulation, we all need grounding in our day somewhere. All right. Now that was the yogic and Ayurvedic perspective. Let's look at it from the scientific perspective. The respiration, the anatomy of our breath. The lungs house our alveoli. These are tiny sacs where oxygen enters the blood and carbon dioxide leaves. The diaphragm, that little curved muscle right under our lungs, is our main breathing muscle. It releases the lungs and it tightens up, pushing the air out. Okay, so yoga sees far more than just the scientific approach to this. Behind the physical breath is the pranamaya kosha. It is the energy body. When we breathe consciously, we nourish not only ourselves, but we nourish our spirit. So that's where the two come together, and we can really look at this carefully. So science affirms the power of breath beyond simply receiving oxygen. It understands that scientifically there's a gas exchange in the lungs that fuel every cell. But we also create nitric oxide made in the sinuses, which boosts oxygen absorption and boosts immunity. And this nitric oxide is created through nasal breath. We have cellular respiration, which produces ATP, which is energy, pure energy, the ability to move, eat, function in your daily life. And then we know that the slow, deep breathing can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body. All right, let's look at the breath through the scientific lens. We know that gas exchange in the lungs fuel every cell. We know that nitric oxide made in the sinuses through nasal breathing boosts oxygen absorption and immunity. And look at the link here where yoga and Ayurveda has always prescribed nasal breath as critical. Nasal inhale and exhale. It didn't know about nitric oxide. It just knows that this is where it needs to happen. They didn't have a word for nitric oxide at the time. And then cellular respiration produces ATP, pure energy. So slow, deep breathing, science recognizes, activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body. That is how we let go of the fight or flight response. So let's anchor all of this new knowledge that we have with a simple practice before closing up. We're going to sit comfortably and gently close the mouth if that is possible for you. Inhale slowly through the nose, allowing the belly to expand. Exhale just as slowly, allowing the belly to contract. Stay aware of the breath as you inhale and exhale. No control, simply observe your breath. Observe the inhale and the exhale. This is nasal breathing. This enhances the flow of nitric oxide, critical to our health. And this is also diaphragmatic breathing because we're keeping the belly loose, and this calms the nervous system. And this is breath awareness. This connects the mind, body, and energy. Inhale. Feel the life flowing in. Exhale. Release. Come into stillness. Breath is life. From the atoms to the Atma. Thank you for joining episode 1 today. In the next episode, we will explore how the different breathing techniques shift your chemistry and your consciousness. Please remember to download the PDFs and the infographics that I have provided with this episode. They will give you links to more information, and I just want to thank you for being with me today.